can. I think sometimes as homeschool moms, we can honestly give ourselves a little bit more busy work than we need to. What I usually do when we do get behind that, I have to make sure I plan a little bit more diligently and a little bit more carefully. But I know that there's moms who don't really love doing that, but feel pressure to like have everything to look just like so-and-so's homeschool or house she plans, and it doesn't have to look like that. I don't know if you can see behind me, but the table, this is our dining room table. It's usually cleared off because we never use it, so this room actually probably stays the cleanest. However, it's become puzzle central for my girls lately, and so they have about 4 or 5 puzzles going at a time right now. So I was definitely not going to move their puzzles or scoot them out of the way. I just think it's really cute that they're doing their little puzzles now and they get so excited when they finish. Anyway, we are planning our back to school. We have not started yet. I'm going to share my system and what works best for us. This may or may not be helpful for you. I know when I'm homeschool planning for the year that I like to get different ideas from homeschool moms, because you just never know what little snippets of information you'll get from them that are actually really useful for your homeschool. So I'm going to share how we planned our year, and then how the days have looked in the past and what I anticipate them to look this year. Obviously, that may or may not change because I haven't started the year yet. And then how I plan down to specific lessons, our different subjects. By the way, my name is Lauren. I'm a homeschool mom of 3 girls. I have a 1st grader who will be homeschooled, a 3rd grader who will be going to a Christian school, and a 5th grader who will be homeschooled as well. And so this year, we are going into our 5th year of homeschooling, but this year is going to look a lot different than the others have, because this is the first year that my daughter will not be homeschooled. And so I've never had that before, of the mix of homeschooling and dropping her off at school and picking her up. So we are definitely going to have to finagle the schedule a little bit. Our mornings are going to be different, definitely different. Our afternoons will be different, but I don't think that it will have much of an impact as the mornings, because there's going to be that, the whole morning rush. Hopefully it's not a rush. So yeah, we have some big changes. This is just kind of preliminary what I'm thinking and what I kind of hope our mornings and things look like. But again, that may and likely will change as we actually get into the thick of it. So how I plan our homeschool year, I always print out a calendar, and I usually have always just printed one out from Google. I just get a school calendar and I print off. They have from July to June. So make sure you're actually getting a school calendar and not just a year calendar. And that way you can decide whenever you want to start and end. So I'm going to do an in-depth look at this in just a second. I'm going to turn the camera around and so you can get a clearer picture of what that looks like. But I also have printed out what our morning basket will look like for the year, and then each of my daughters for their school work, what their independent work and their lessons are going to look like. So let's get started. Let's go through all of that fun stuff right now. So like I said, I will just print off a school year calendars from July till June. And we always start around the last week of August. And I know that I will have about 7 weeks or so before I actually give us just a few days of a break around the end of October. And then in November, we'll take those last 3 days off, like most people do for Thanksgiving, and then go till December when we take 2 weeks off. So we kind of keep it pretty similar to what the school year looks like for regular school. This year, I might take off an extra week after Christmas, just because I felt like I really needed it last year. But generally, if you can see here, I don't really have any weeks or days or anything planned to take off. And that's because I just kind of leave it up to whenever I feel like we need it during this winter break. It's usually around mid-February or so, about 6 or 7 weeks after we have come back from Christmas break. And then we always take April 3rd, that week off for my daughter's, it's her birthday. So I always just plan our spring break around there. And then we end usually the last week of May. So we're not taking off too much. I feel like if I take off, it's usually only a few days in October and November. But other than that, we don't really take off a full week until Christmas. And then from there, we will take off 1 week, usually in February, 1 week in April, and then finish out in May. And that's just what works for us. I don't like taking random days off here or there. If I take a week time off, I like it to be a week. So this year I created a morning basket kind of schedule weekly routines, because instead of doing every single subject every day, I actually am switching it up a little bit. So we're always going to start off with a devotional, or this is Who is God? It's like a Bible study apologetics course. So that way it just keeps us knowing what days we're doing what, and I'm not having to rely on my memory or trying to figure it out, or did we do this day or this that day? And then I have broken it down into an artist study that's supposed to be 2 days a week. We're doing a character study, poetry. I have a book of poems. And then we didn't finish our 50 states from last year. And so we have about half the book left. So we'll do that just on Fridays. And then we will also do memory verses and hymns. We will rotate between one day we'll say our memory verse or memory passage, it will actually be. And then we'll have like a hymn. I think I'm going to do a hymn of the month. That's how I did it in the past. I would do passages of memory verses. So we would do about 3 passages for the whole year that we would work on. And then we would do a hymn a month. I think I'm going to go back to that. So we'll just alternate. So we're not doing that every single day. We're going to go back and forth. And then Friday is kind of left up in the air. I think I might change this as needed, but for now it's blank. And then from here, that is just what our morning basket is going to consist of. Then from there, we'll go into our individual subjects. So that's when we'll come in the schoolroom and we'll do our language arts and math and spelling and all that fun stuff. And then after lunch, we'll come back again. Now, normally in the past, the sciences and histories have always been all group subjects that we do together, group studies. However, I'm breaking it up a little bit this year. So Lola, she's going to have science Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So her science will be master books 2 days a week. And then Little Hearts and Hands from the Good and the Beautiful, that is just meant to be done once a week. And then we'll do Around the World with picture books. I'm actually going to switch this. We're going to be doing something different Monday. So I already have to update this, see, before the school year even started. Anyway, we're going to do Around the World with picture books Tuesday through Friday, and then something else on Monday. And then Larissa, she's going to be doing a science herself on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So the reason I chose this kind of coordinates with their daily schedules as well. So I'm going to zoom out a little bit so that you can hopefully see this, and hopefully it will make sense to you. So Larissa, she always likes to have a checklist. I asked Lola if she wanted a checklist for this year too. She has not had one before, and she said yes. And the reason she wanted one was so that she could see how many more subjects she had to do until she was finished. So I said, fair enough. So I made hers a daily thing. So Monday, it's just this much. Tuesday, I told Larissa and strongly suggested she do it that way as well, but she actually wanted to do it in just subject form, list form. So she will be doing this in order of what subjects she'll be doing when. So she won't be doing every single thing every single day. As you can see, spelling will be daily, but like fix-it grammar will just be on Fridays. Handwriting, she's just going to be doing a few days a week. To me, this looks more confusing and complicated, but she likes it, and that's what works for her. And if she's the one who's going to be working off this list, obviously I'm going to defer to what she prefers. So she worked really, really hard on this. We did have to make some updates and things like that. So this is actually version 2, but I think you can get an idea. So I will laminate that. Actually, I'm going to put it in just a sheet protector for now. And then once we know, okay, this is actually what we're going to be sticking with, we don't need to make any edits or anything, then I'll laminate it once I know it's a little bit more final. I don't love laminating. So if I don't have to laminate something, I won't, or spend extra time laminating. Anyway. So you can see math lesson and language is just Monday through Thursday, lunch every day, and then history, science, Monday through Thursday. So that's where we're going to defer back to here. So then Lola wanted hers to say doggy schoolwork. I tried to put her name on here somewhere. She was not interested in that. So dog math, in case you're wondering, that's just her math from the Good and the Beautiful. Letters and sounds and language, those will be her workbooks from Rebecca. She'll be doing reading every day, spelling every day, and then tiger math. This is, again, the Rebecca just has a tiger on the front. So Monday is going to look, most of the days are going to be a little bit laid out the same. The reason I did handwriting 3 days, which is Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, Thursday is because she does not have science on Tuesday or science on Thursday. And so since she doesn't have those two, I figured she could add the handwriting that day. She only needs to do handwriting 3 days a week in order to finish her book. Monday and Friday, she's going to be having science with master books, and there are some handwriting in that. Not every lesson, but there is handwriting. So I said if she's doing handwriting those with the science, then she doesn't need to do it that day. And then with the reason she's doing it Wednesday, because the little hearts and hands science from the good and the beautiful has no handwriting in it. So that's just how kind of my thinking was. And then she'll have a spelling test on Friday, and she will not have math on Friday because her math is just 4 days a week. So Friday will be a little bit lighter for her. And so that's kind of how I laid out their lessons and how their day will flow. I try to, I guess the take-home message from this is I try to say, what are we going to be doing as far as our morning basket goes and as far as our subjects goes? And if there's anything that needs to be manipulated or that needs to be moved around a little bit, I try to coordinate that. So it's not like Monday you have an extra long day and then Tuesday you're barely doing anything. I try to make it as even as I possibly can. Okay, so then as far as how I prep to lead up to the beginning of the school year, I like to, for the last 1 to 2 weeks of summer, at least get the girls up a little bit earlier so that they can have that kind of in their mindset, to not just sleep in till whenever. They never sleep in too late, but getting up at a certain time so they can get to be more in that rhythm. But honestly, now that Lexi is going to school, she has to be there at a certain time. So I will, for the last 2 weeks, like before school starts, those last 2 weeks of summer, she is going to get up, have to get dressed, have to be everything done by 8:15, because that's when she will need to be ready for school in the morning. So everything has to be done as if she were going to school. So that way, the first day of school in the first few weeks is going to be probably a little bit overwhelming enough as it is. I don't want her to feel like she's rushed in the morning. She's not the type that likes to feel rushed and late. She likes to make sure she kind of knows what she's looking for. So we're going to do that. And but like I said, even if she wasn't going to homeschool, or even if she wasn't going to a Christian school, I like to do that a few weeks before just to kind of get my girls in the mood to okay, we're going to start our morning rhythms and morning routines. Our morning rhythms and routines, I actually shared a video of that I can link down below so that you can kind of see what that is. I did it during the summer, but that is honestly what our mornings look like anyway. They have to get up, dressed, morning chores, make their beds, breakfast, all of that stuff before we even start school. So we do that every day, almost every day. Ideally, it would be every day, but it's life. So that is what they will still be doing. Lexi, I don't know if she's going to have chores and all that. That I'll kind of give an update. I think that it'll be enough just getting her ready and out the door with a lunch and all of that. But yes, that is how I prep for the new school year coming as far as our schedule and morning routine and things like that. Now, how I do lessons. Lessons are going to be a little bit different. So I don't lesson plan, and I have done all of these things in the past. I've done it where I was very detailed with lesson plans. I mean, so detailed. It was like, what are you doing? But I've also done it where this last year, it was like a very little lesson planning at all. And you know what? It actually all turns out the same. As long as we finish our books, to me, that's the most important thing. And I know not everybody cares if they finish their curriculum, as long as they have done most of it or a good majority of it. But for me, that's just my thing, and it may not be your thing, and that's okay. But I really like to make sure that if we start a curriculum, that we don't just leave and there's 10 lessons left. I want to make sure we finish it. So for language arts and math, like the good and the beautiful, for example, I will make sure that there's only 120 lessons. So if that's 4 days a week, that's only 30 weeks throughout the school year that we never have any problem finishing. However, when we do a Becca, there's 170 lessons that I have to make sure I plan a little bit more diligently and a little bit more carefully, because again, I like to make sure that we do finish the school year with the lessons completed. Honestly, usually sometimes I have my girls start their Abeka work at the beginning, in the summer, maybe 10 or so lessons into their Rebecca workbooks, and that way we already have 10 lessons down before the school year even starts. And the reason I do that is because those first 10 lessons or so, there really is just really basic and simple review. And so I don't think that it's necessary to start a lesson like where they've it's a wave review. So I let them get those first 10 or so lessons out of the way, and that leaves us with about 160 lessons. And I do try to do 5 lessons a week with them. What I don't do is I don't say, okay, on the 21st, we're going to do lesson 143, 144. I don't do that because I have done that before in the past. And if you miss something for some reason, someone's sick or something comes up, then that just completely wipes out your whole lesson plan, and you have marks or pencil erasings, and it's just a big fat mess. So I don't do that. What I do is, again, I try to just do 5 lessons a week and try to make sure that we are on a number ending that's divisible by 5. So example, I'll do lesson 1 to 5, and then the next week will be a lesson 6 to 10. By Friday, we should be on lesson 5 ending in a 5 or a 0. So lesson 25, lesson 30, 35, 40, etc. So that way that just gives me a picture. Okay, by Friday it's this. And with that, I know that we will end on lesson 170. So let's say, well, what if something happens, Lauren, and you get behind a few days? So what I usually do when we do get behind and we aren't on that task of being able to meet that, we're a few lessons behind, I will double up on a lesson. One lesson every week I will double up on until we catch up. You know, we're behind 4 lessons. So for the next 4 weeks, we need to do an extra lesson. And that way you're not overwhelming them with, okay, sorry kids, we have to do 8 lessons this week. Like, you don't want to drown them. But doubling up on a lesson just once a week, I think will help make sure that you can kind of cover any ground that you have lost. So I don't plan every jot and tittle. And again, like I said, I've done that before, and it just, if something gets messed up, then it's just like a big snowball effect. So to me, it's easier. And you can also reverse plan. A lot of people do that. The reason I don't do that is because I don't feel like the need to write down things that we've already done. I'm just the only reason I write things down is just to make sure that we are on track to finish on time. So that takes care of math and language arts and anything like that in that realm. When it comes to science and history, for science, my daughter uses The Good and the Beautiful. So each unit, there's usually 3 or 4 units that you study throughout the year. So if you're not familiar with them, it's not like a book. You choose whichever 3 unit, you can do 1 unit, 2 units, 3, however many. And there's about 14 to 18 lessons. Some are less, some are more, depending on whatever unit you are studying. So this year she has 3 units. It equals to, I have it written down here, it equals to 46 lessons. Now I plan on, how I do this is I plan on, okay, so science is 2 lessons per week, 46 lessons divided by 2 lessons per week. That gives me 23 weeks worth of material for her. Now we only got 3 units this year. Last year we did 4. And we still had a few weeks left at the end of the year. I only got 3 this year because I wanted to have some wiggle room and some flexibility in case something interesting came up throughout the year that we wanted to embrace and to start. I wanted to have that wiggle room in there. So that is why I only got 3 units this year. So that gives us about 10 or 11 weeks to fill in for other things. So we will definitely fill that in, and it also gives me a little bit of margin. Let's say I do 34 weeks for the school year. I don't like to do 34 weeks worth of material because then again, I just don't like being jam-packed to the rafters. I would rather have fewer weeks, but a little bit of margin and leeway in case something inevitably, it always comes up, and it gives us that time. And I don't have to feel like, oh my gosh, now we're so far behind and we're not going to finish. Because again, to me, I don't know, it's just me. You don't have to feel this way, but for me, I like to make sure that we finish everything that we start. So I know that if I give myself and I don't have any of that, any extra time built in and allotted for when things come up, then it's going to just stress me out and make me feel like I have to do all these extra lessons. I'd rather just have maybe 28 weeks worth of material, and then I have a few extra weeks to play with when life happens. Then for history, so we're doing Around the World with Beautiful Feet books. So there's 11 countries that we are going to be studying. So I figured if we study each country for 3 weeks, that will give us 33 weeks, which pushes me a little bit more than what I prefer. But I think that not every country will take 3 weeks. Some of them will only take 2 weeks. So I just am giving myself that 3-week kind of ballpark range. So to me personally, I mean, I wouldn't completely knock out a curriculum that's 180 days worth of material, but it's definitely not my first choice and not what I prefer. I prefer something that would work on our schedule a little bit better, but if you're looking for like a 4-day a week or something like that, you can always double up on one subject per day. So maybe language, you do 2 lessons on Monday, math, you do 2 lessons on Tuesday, history, 2 lessons on Wednesday. You know, you get the point. I just know that for my personal homeschool, it's given me as a mom, as a homeschool mom, especially knowing like, okay, Lauren, you like to finish your homeschool curriculum, and there's nothing wrong with that. And if I didn't finish it, would it be the end of the world? No, but I prefer to do that. So for me, knowing that I have that and I have curriculum that allows me to do that, but has flexibility, to me, that is, I just prioritize that, and I really like that. And of course, I wouldn't not choose something that fit all of our needs just because it had 180 lessons. But if it's something that can afford me that little bit of room to breathe, so to speak, then I will definitely gravitate more towards a curriculum like that, or make it my own and kind of try to make it work so that we aren't feeling like we have to do it all and there's no room for when things happen and for if we miss a day or miss a week or something like that. So I felt like that was a lot of information, but again, that's just how it works for us, and that's just kind of how my brain is wired, and it's been working really well for us. So again, I don't have massive planners with massive loaded detail of, okay, lesson this today, lesson this tomorrow, lesson this. I just go next day, lesson by lesson, and that has worked wonderfully for us. And I think sometimes as homeschool moms, we can honestly give ourselves a little bit more busy work than we need to. And it doesn't have to be that way. We can make things simple, and we can still be really efficient and effective at doing our job and making sure we do, teach our kids, and we can do all that. And if you like to do that and you just love writing everything out, like more power to you. I think that is awesome. But I know that there's moms who don't really love doing that, but feel pressure to like have everything to look just like so-and-so's homeschool or how she plans. And it doesn't have to look like that. I'm not one of those, but I feel like we still, and at the end of the year, get everything done, and we have had success in our homeschool. So just some food for thought, something to consider if you're not looking for like a traditional lesson plan where you think of that single thing has to be written down every single day. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you being here. Please let me know if you have any questions or need any clarification. If you thought this video was helpful, make sure to give it a thumbs up. That really, really, really helps support my channel, and I'm sure you've heard other YouTubers say it, but it really does make a difference. So we appreciate any love and support in that way. Also, subscribe if you have not done so already so that you can see more homeschool content just like this. I thank you so, so much, and I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day. Take care.